1, 2, 3, pick it up, go!
Mankind must put an end to war. A war will put an end to mankind.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Well, I'm not drunk. I learned everything I got.
Go! 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 Go!
Change will not come if we wait for some other person.
Welcome, Internet, to another tantalizing episode. We call these episodes, right? I've heard people call them pods.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So we're going to go to the episode. Welcome to another tantalizing episode of our Blind Partisan podcast. I'm Elliot. This is Jacob. I'm pointing, but I think that we flipped the cameras.
Yeah. So Elliot had
a
way more enthusiasm before we started, so I don't know if that says anything.
That was enthusiastic. I said tantalizing.
Oh, but before you were all like at 11, you know, and now you're at like, what, a category 5?
My
Look
coffee.
at that segue.
Had to hit the drive-thru on the way.
Only problem is category 5 is a big one.
Yeah.
So we're talking about hurricanes today.
Well, I mean, sort of.
FEMA,
sort of.
Hurricanes.
Yeah.
To be fair,
there are a lot of pieces to this. This will be fun.
There are a lot of pieces to this, and it's been in the news a lot. And I honestly have no idea where we're going to go with this, because there are a lot of places
you don't.
to go.
You're going to get owned. You are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Where do we start?
Well, so the idea was to talk about hurricanes, but I mean, so in relation to the current hurricane situation in the Carolinas, right? I don't know exactly where it hit. My understanding is like North Carolina is the
Carolina, Virginia.
Yeah.
That area.
Yeah.
A little further north than they usually hit.
Right.
Not like Sandy was really, really north, like New Jersey,
Yes.
New York, that area. This is kind of in the middle.
Right.
Now, my understanding with Florence, we're actually recording this because we record a couple days ahead of time usually because we're busy. Scheduling's hard, you know.
Yep.
It's still going on right now.
Absolutely.
As we're discussing this, and we don't really know the full ramifications yet. So if we're sounding like, you know, we're brushing over something or something, we honestly don't know yet.
Yeah.
I watched yesterday. Someone had set up a live stream for it out in the middle of the ocean on an oil rig. And it was fascinating just watching it. And like it was framed with just like a American flag flying in the wind and the hurricane raging around it.
That's pretty cool.
And and then it started like tearing up the American flag because the winds were so. Yeah, it was interesting. And you had to listen to it on mute because the sound was horrible because of how loud everything was.
Right.
And you know, wind and microphones don't work very well. Even normal wind and microphones don't work very well.
No.
So imagine that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think people know that now. Yeah. Everybody's got cell phones. They all have microphones. Yeah.
So. I don't want to do this, but do we go for probably one of the most controversial things? Is this climate control related?
Climate control, like
Climate
in your car?
Change.
Yes, it's all due to air conditioning. And actually, according to people who are against this, are pushing for climate change policy, air conditioning is probably a big contributor. Yeah. But
that's just the anti-AC lobbyists getting on.
Okay. So I am not a physicist. I am not a meteorologist. So I am not qualified, nor is 99.9% of the American population qualified to actually definitively say. So I would defer to scientists who mostly say it is.
Mm-hmm.
That said,
you could almost say overwhelmingly.
Whatever. And you know what? Scientists have been wrong before. So they predicted that we were heading into an ice age in the 70s. That's well documented, right? Yeah. So even if they all agree, they all agreed the Earth was flat a few hundred years ago. So let's.
That's a misconception because the one Greek philosopher put up 2 towers and then used the shadows to measure them to figure out almost exactly the correct size of the Earth, and it was rounded back in 2000.
That's great.
2000.
That was one dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and nobody talked about it until today.
Right.
So it's fine.
It's just us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it could be made up, fake news.
So generally, I think it's fair to say that climate change is a part of this. And I'm not, gonna jump on the climate change bandwagon and that's not what I really want to talk about today.
Well, because when you have so you have climate change, we literally can't do anything about it, so we should really stop focusing on that as an issue. It's literally nothing we can do about it.
I mean, there are things we can do about it, but
There are not.
I think we need to have a whole nother.
There are
episode
not.
on
We
that.
can totally do that, but there are not.
So
we
my
can do
point
whatever we
is-
want. China's going to outweigh anything we do.
My point
Doesn't
is
matter.
completely separate from that.
Great.
Let me say my damn point.
No, not gonna. No, go for it. Go for it.
The point is climate change is happening, regardless of why. We have the numbers to back it up, right?
Well,
And we have already seen an increase in the number of hurricanes we've seen. Okay. And they've been more severe. My question is, regardless of why it's happening or what we can do about it, it is happening that the number of hurricanes we're seeing each year, or the power of the hurricanes we're seeing, is increasing.
okay. So the Earth is old. Okay.
Oh, no.
The
I'm so not prepared for
I am not saying that you are incorrect, but this whole nonsense about climate change is real and it's an emergency. We have to do something about it. The Earth, we know, science has proven the Earth has gone through cycles. We've had ice ages. We know these things. Those are facts.
Right. So my question:
this could very well be part of a cycle. We could very well be entering an ice age. We're just at the very end of the heated era. We really do not know that. We do not. Even the scientists are not in total agreement on that. Okay.
My question is, are we prepared for that happening?
So, assuming that you are correct,
Yeah.
which I dispute.
Well, let's
okay.
Let's
I'm gonna pretend you're
I
correct.
think for our government, who needs to be prepared for every option, I think
I'm going to give you this.
They
Okay.
need to be
I'm going to
prepared.
give you this, even though I think
Okay.
it's false.
All right,
I'm going to give you this. Let's pretend there are more hurricanes than there have ever been, and they're going to just keep increasing.
Okay.
Okay. And they're going to all be more severe than the last.
Let's say they stay at this rate.
Let's say they increase.
Okay.
Let's say everything's terrible. The world is
I'm
ending.
not going doomsday.
The world is ending via hurricane.
I'm just
Fine.
trying to segue into FEMA, man.
Yeah, I am too. Bring it. Bring it.
Oh, okay. So we have, at least over the past 2 years, seen major hurricane activity. Last year was particularly bad because it was several large hurricanes in a row, correct?
Sure. That happens all the time. Yeah.
This year, so far, we've only had the one, Florence, which is strength of the hurricane's not the worry. It's the rainfall from it, right? Flooding is the concern.
And the location.
Yeah.
Places that aren't as prepared.
Right. So the thing is with that, we saw last year, we have government agencies and private companies and everything that are designed to help after something like that happens, right? It was not the greatest response in some areas.
To this one, to Florence.
No, to the last year's.
In
Maria.
Puerto Rico, you're talking about.
Puerto Rico. There was also, Texas got hit really bad by, what was it, Harvey?
I'm
really bad at remembering the names
because
of them.
Okay, so names are hard for humans anyway, unless you can relate it to something, and the names are arbitrary. So yeah,
Right.
so it's not like the Texas hurricane is called Hurricane Texas, which would actually make sense.
And it's also harder because there were several in a row.
Yes.
Whereas like you remember Katrina, you remember Sandy.
Yes.
You know.
So those stick out because of the just immense severity. Correct.
So the response was not super great, especially in Puerto Rico, but there were also some complaints compared to previous disasters as to how it was handled in areas like Texas. Puerto Rico was particularly nasty, though. We just recently got the official death toll count.
Yep.
Somewhere in the margin of just shy of 3,000 people. 2,972, I want to say. Something like that. That's a lot of people.
All right.
But-
You ready for this?
Okay, here we go.
So you are directing this at our president. You're implying that. He doesn't work for the people of Puerto Rico. They do not vote for president. He does not work for them. Okay, so let's put that on the table right away. That doesn't mean it's okay, but
They are
but it is
citizens.
but it is representative. Well, they don't get to vote for president. Period.
So
They're U.S. citizens.
neither
They are
can
also
children.
they're also citizens of Puerto Rico. So they're in their own unique spot. So, but this exemplifies exactly what is wrong with having a federal agency be in charge of this stuff. It's useless. They just think about the logistics. Having a federal agency, I don't know, I guess spread across the country, is ridiculous. Where there are specific issues that happen in tropical areas, so Florida and Puerto Rico, let's say, right? They need to have those response mechanisms there, boots on the ground, probably year round, because they need to be repairing things in the off season. They need to be preparing things before a disaster is about to strike, and they need to be continually reinvesting in their infrastructure. So stealing money from the people of Puerto Rico, dumping it into federal agencies that then pretend to give the money back is insanity. That makes zero sense. Furthermore, I live in Wisconsin. I have to put up with the frozen tundra. Why should I be subsidizing people who get to live in a tropical paradise? Why should I be subsidizing them?
I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a paradise, given
All right, let's not talk about Puerto Rico. Let's talk about Florida. Florida absolutely is a paradise. You live on the Gulf, it's a paradise.
besides the people. Florida. Now I'm getting everyone in Florida
Okay.
mad at me.
But
Florida's weird.
okay, so you said the people of Florida. Okay, so all sorts of people, Florida, the population keeps going up. Why? Because we subsidize the life there.
Yeah, we do.
It's their homes get destroyed. We pay to fix them. They get flooded. We pay to fix it. If we help them evacuate. All these things are on a federal level. They're subsidized.
So my
Why are we subsidizing people who are choosing to live in places?
Some people can't move.
That is false. This is the United States. Everyone can move.
Can you move right now?
Yes.
If
Yes. Yes.
we determine that
Period.
some trigger is causing this
Yeah, you're
winter
triggering
coming,
me. You are triggering me.
I'm triggering you.
It's a microaggression.
Drink your coffee, get less passive aggressive, and we'll.
No, but we routinely do this.
Yeah.
People choose to live in these areas where these aren't unknowns. This isn't like if we had an earthquake in Wisconsin and nobody could see that coming. We see these coming. You said yourself, these are increasing in severity. They're happening every year. Why is Florida unprepared?
Yeah.
Why is North Carolina not prepared?
I
Why
think
is
I
Puerto
get it.
Rico not prepared?
I think I get it. What you're saying is we need to pay people to leave.
No, we need
your
to close
tax
down
money,
FEMA
right?
because they're not doing the job, regardless of president. This happened under Bush. It happened under Obama. It happened under Trump. FEMA is kind of a disaster. No pun
Maybe we
intended.
should, properly fund it instead of funneling its
How
money
about
out
how about
of FEMA
just
into
disband
ICE.
it? Because we don't need FEMA here.
How do you know that?
Well, their response time of things that they even expect is pretty terrible. So if we have an unexpected thing happen here, I am not confident that they're going to be any help. So why have it? Like, if that's the deal, why have it?
Okay,
So for emergencies that come up, like when we have flooding, guess what? We have the National Guard. That's why it's part of the reason we have a National Guard, right?
yeah,
To help with things like that come up.
interior issues.
Yeah. What the hell do we need FEMA for? We don't even need it. It should be disbanded. It should be shut down. Give the money back to the shareholders. That's a Michael Dalwini.
That means Elliot.
Yeah. Inside baseball.
You want your 37 cents back instead?
Well, it's substantially more than 37 cents because we're not paying the whole bill. We're not funding it, so they're doing a terrible job. And then the money we are putting into it, we're stealing from our grandchildren. And that is it's insanity. It's insanity to steal money from my grandchildren to subsidize people who live in a tropical paradise. That is nonsense. So it should be shut down. Because hurricanes are increasing in severity due to climate change, these people are choosing to live there. That's called crazy talk. That's insanity. They should move.
Well, first of all, these hurricanes have been unpredictable, and
You predicted that they're going up.
Yes, but
they're
we
increasing.
Stress that they're hitting areas they haven't really hit before.
So
that's
which places are these?
Texas, New Jersey, Virginia. They're still on the coast, but
So you named 3 states. We have 50.
yeah.
Why should 50 states be subsidizing 3 states?
Okay. So,
Why should this be happening?
all right? So my
Texas has got plenty of money. Florida's got plenty of money. Why are we subsidizing? It's cheaper to live in Florida than it is in Wisconsin.
okay.
That's ridiculous. That's insane. I will tell you, if I didn't have family here, I'd be gone.
Wow.
Because I would like for everybody to subsidize me.
you'll still watch the Packers, right?
Of course.
Of course. All right. All right.
Well, we should subsidize moving
don't
the
want
Packers
to,
to Florida. They don't have enough football teams there.
I don't know if you've not had enough coffee or too much.
No, this exemplifies, okay, so I'm a crazy libertarian and I want everybody to be smoking pot and running around with no roads, right? Fine. But this is bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy that is failing on top of failing. It's a waste of money. It's not working. It's indefensible. Shut it down.
So would you give us a guarantee that if a severe natural disaster happened here, you would not accept FEMA aid?
What? I'm not going to get it anyway. So yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
if they showed up to your door saying, "Hey, you're stuck in this crazy snowstorm," that maybe they're on
So that is a clear straw man argument. So the thing that I'm advocating getting rid of because it's a waste of money, if per chance there's a 0.001% chance that my tax dollars come back to me, I should say no to that. That's crazy talk. That's insane. So of course I would accept it. That doesn't mean I don't want it shut down.
Nice.
That doesn't mean I don't want it shut down.
Beans.
Those are 2 different things, right?
Yeah.
I want it shut down for everyone, but I am paying for it now, as are my grandchildren. We have this national debt that is unfathomably large. So every government agency should be on the chopping block and should have to justify its existence every day. There's room for 0 screw-ups. We don't properly fund things. That's not an excuse. That's the opposite of an excuse. You don't have enough money. You can't live within your means when your means are already beyond your means. Shut it down. We should not be rewarding mediocrity and bureaucracy. If it's too hard, if the problem's too big for government, shut it down.
Where do we go from there?
I don't know. You're the one all about climate change. We need to steal more money from my grandchildren. So explain to me why my grandchild who lives in Wisconsin should have to pay for people living in Florida.
What if your grandchild doesn't live in Wisconsin and moves to Florida?
Then thankfully she's getting subsidized by herself. Great. But guess what? She's not a voter, so she doesn't get to choose that. Yet.
Unless you're saying your granddaughter's a felon.
Not.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know. Can you be a felon if you're under? I suppose you could be a felon under 18 and never be allowed to vote, right? Or you can move to Puerto Rico where you don't get to vote either.
Good question. I'm sure, because if someone was tried as an adult.
So where do we go from here? So there's multiple aspects to this. So we were talking about FEMA in relation to the present hurricane, but also in relation to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico should be a state.
Yeah.
It's large. It is, large population-wise. It is, it has some debt problems. So I understand there's 2 sides to that. But if we're going to pay to fix it anyway, then we should at least make them a state so they have some of the responsibilities too.
And the argument, I've seen that used as an argument that, Puerto Rico shouldn't be a state because blah, 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 they've got debts, right? I'm like, so do a bunch of states.
If that's our argument, we should kick California and Michigan out, right?
I want to say Kentucky had, in order to keep their government afloat, had to do an online auction of sex toys.
You're gonna have to send me a link for that.
I will totally do that.
I have not heard this at all.
I will.
If there's even 1% of truth to this, that is hilarious.
I'm not completely certain on the state, but one state someone didn't pay their taxes, so they claimed their warehouse full of toys and stuff because it was an adult shop.
Of course, that would be Kentucky.
And then they sold them online.
That is the most Kentucky of Kentucky things.
I'm not sure if it was Kentucky, but I feel like it was. So,
it would make sense.
Google it, guys, and tell
I don't hate on Kentucky. I think Kentucky's great, but
so we somehow moved on to Puerto Rico's statehood.
Yeah.
I
Because these things are all related, right? So when I hear like the president didn't do a good job, FEMA didn't do a good job. Well, I don't think FEMA should exist, but also Puerto Rico should be a state, so they should get to retaliate.
they
Should get a voice in this. Instead, like Trump is like, well, I mean, I'm gonna act like I care because that'd piss people off if I don't. But like, let's be real, I don't work for them.
So the arguments I've heard against Puerto Rican statehood are one, they're not financially independent, right?
Neither are any states at this point.
Two, they don't have a high enough number of English speakers, which is BS, because English isn't our official language. We don't have one, right? And their numbers are somewhat around other states like Arizona.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So the language thing.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave. We do not need a language, an official language. We should be smart enough to learn multiple languages if we need to interact with people. We do not need that. We do
People
not
should not be
need it.
forced.
And so in terms of like, okay, we need it to make government more efficient. How about we make government smaller? We don't need all these government agencies printing things in 18 languages. We need fewer government agencies so this doesn't become a problem.
So the other, and this is the weakest of the three arguments, is that it would cost us too much money to switch our flag.
No, so think that through. So we do other things, and we claim that that's an economic stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
Here, everybody's got to buy new flags, right?
Yeah.
Usually we call that an economic stimulus. Here, it's like, oh no, it's going to cost a lot of money.
Right.
It's not going to cost. Oh my God, that doesn't cost anything. You got to replace flags anyway.
We actually already have like a design that was selected if we ever added a 51st state.
Yeah.
So you can go Google that, and we have one already.
I'm sure we
what
do.
It would look like.
Yeah, I'm sure we paid $1 million to have that design made up.
Only $1 million?
Well, I mean, it plus interest on the national debt. So yeah, whatever.
So
whatever. What's a few million here and there, right?
Let's be clear here. In a lot of people's opinion, there's one primary reason why Puerto Rico is not a state.
Yep.
What is that reason?
Because it would give Democrats a majority.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that is only because Republicans are, by and large,
white.
I was going to say bigots.
Bigots.
Yeah.
Race.
And they can claim otherwise, but they are not pro freedom, so their policies are not let's treat everybody the same. That is not true. They claim it is, but it's not routinely. It is not.
I mean, they support a lot of controversial policies with immigration, which don't,
now
people the right way.
I have plenty of disagreement with Democrats, but that is the worst reason. That is the most un-American reason ever. I mean, I think political parties should go away.
We're not going to give you a voice because we think you're going to side with the people we don't like. That's BS. And
I think you know what? I think I would love for one of our upcoming topics to be abolishing parties. I'm not for laws, but parties have too much power in this country and they're accountable to nobody. So that should, as soon as somebody says that, they should be, if they're in Congress, they should be immediately impeached. That is not something that we should be okay with.
Is it bad that like impeached has just become a word I'm totally numb to?
Well, but I mean that should be like putting party above country.
Yeah.
That is insane. That is preposterous.
All right. So what are your other thoughts on the hurricane?
So the current hurricane?
Yeah, let's go with the current one.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about.
So same deal. You live on the coast. I mean, the coast is beautiful, especially this time of year. Summer, early fall, beautiful. I am tired of subsidizing these areas of the country. It's not right. These are wealthy areas, wealthy people, the ones that live along the coast especially. They can pay their own way. I'm tired of that across the board. So whether that's North Carolina, Virginia, lots of wealthy people there, lots of poor people, but that's a state problem. That is a state problem. New Orleans was unprepared. They built a city underwater, and the city and the state were unprepared.
I'm just imagining it underwater.
Well, so New Orleans is below sea level.
Right.
So you can build up the walls around it, but maybe just start moving stuff upland, right?
We're gonna build a wall, and New Orleans is gonna pay for it.
So for the costs that we put in as a federal government, we could have like sliced out the French Quarter and like just moved it upland like 10 miles.
Oh my gosh, I love this idea.
I mean, it's not like most. I guess part of it is sort of along the crappy river delta there, but it's not.
I think you got a pitch there. All you have to do is add some buzzwords like cloud and innovative, and you've got a pitch.
I mean, and New Orleans is the most extreme example, but I think they're probably prepared now. But
let's just hope they are.
Yeah. But all of these coastal cities, if you're in Houston, you should be prepared. And if you're not, you should move. That's like living in Wisconsin and not having a snowblower. I mean, our snowblowing is not subsidized by the federal government. So their water cleanup should not be subsidized by the federal government. This is not, I'm not heartless. I think the Red Cross can volunteer and help people out. I think that's great. Those are fine things. You mentioned right off the bat that they're private organizations. The Red Cross is great. Some people criticize them that they're not efficient, but except when they're not compared to what? Compared to FEMA, they're amazing.
Red Cross is usually the best we got, right?
Yep.
I do.
But again, they're a big organization, so there's bureaucracy.
There's bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And there have been problems in the past with them
Because of
funneling
bureaucracy.
donations to the wrong, to their own pockets.
That's true of all nonprofits. But you think that's not true of government?
No, of course it is.
Yeah.
But that's true of private corporations.
Funneling it to their own pockets. Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means. It all has to be disclosed.
Funneling it like a hurricane?
Oh.
That I don't know if that's considered
So I don't know exactly what direction was intended on this discussion, but it really gets me heated when I hear the main thing that really gets me heated is when I hear that a federal agency is bad, let's give them more money. That blows my mind. So Clay Matthews isn't doing his job on the field. Let's give him a raise.
Okay, so
that doesn't make any sense.
What happens in the cases where it does work, though?
That doesn't make it okay.
Okay.
Because there's a moral hazard to that. Then you're going to have all agencies saying, well, I don't have enough money, so I'm going to just start doing a crappy job. It's the same thing on the football field. I'm not going to do a good job unless you give me more money. No, that's not the way it works. You typically have to prove you can do a good job, then you get the pay raise. And then you start sucking. Yeah. That's all I got.
All right. So any final thoughts?
No.
Hurricanes, winds?
Not really. I think we should abolish FEMA. Please tell me how I'm wrong. So, go on the Facebook group, the Blind Partisan Facebook group. Tell me how wrong I am. Tell me why we need to have this federal agency that really only supports a handful of states. I would love to know why my granddaughter should subsidize that.
I'd love to
makes
see
zero sense to me.
If every state at some point has used FEMA assistance.
Yeah, you know what? I bet that's a Googleable thing. But and if I find it, I'm going to post it in the group. But I would love to see the percentage breakdown.
I mean, I'm too lazy for that. But
wouldn't it be great to see like a percentage breakdown of how? Because I'm sure just there's been token things. Oh well, there's probably a FEMA office in Wisconsin that we're paying for. Like it makes my head cringe, right? And so anyway. I could talk about this for weeks and repeat myself, but so if you're watching this on YouTube, it's a bell, right?
Yeah.
Hit the little bell. That means subscribe. The bell means you get a notification when we have a new episode. Yay. And of course, on iTunes, subscribe. Anywhere that you get podcasts, anywhere you're listening to this audio, I listen on Overcast. Please subscribe. Please share the episode with your friends on Facebook.
Reviews are good.
And reviews are all right. On iTunes especially, reviews help expose it to other viewers. So like we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to do a good job. I want your feedback. I'd love your feedback. You can hit me up directly, Elliot on Twitter.
Message Elliot in the middle of the night.
You can message me in the middle of the night. I live in public. You can find my phone number somewhere, I'm sure. And yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I just think we need to end it because, if we keep talking, we're going to keep going in circles over and over again.
So the circle metaphor is bad. Yeah.
All right, let's go before we offend people.
All right. Thanks. We're out.